Hey guys, it's Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. During the month of September, I am participating in a Scraptember challenge where we will take a prompt a day and create a layout or project using that prompt. I'm a little behind on the days, so this is actually from day 2. I pulled out a photo and a stamp set and gone ahead and cut all the pieces, as well as pulled out my fabulous paper packet, which is Halloween themed, but I'm only going to be using this black and white polka dot paper to keep in line with the black and white theme. The first thing I want to do is take my Versamat and turn it on the back side. It's got that foam on it, which is going to allow me to stamp a whole bunch of images at once. I'm going to line these florals up on the back of that mat and then pull out my black ink and get to stamping. The one thing I love about this layout and these florals is that I enjoy watching people color. I love the look of coloring. It's just something that coloring and I have a love-hate relationship. So this layout is actually going to keep the majority of these floral pieces as black and white, plain and simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and line up these stamps. Now, one thing about the die cut, when you die cut before you stamp, is you just kind of have to twist that stamp image around to make sure you've got it lined up correctly. On the solid stamps, I like to use my rub and remove eraser to remove that film, that protective film that all new stamps have. I'm just going to ink that down, and then I'm going to do the majority of these off camera. To add a little bit of shading, I am taking my Ice Gray Blend Tri-Blend marker. Just using the lightest side, I am going to go ahead and add some shading. You'll see here I'm only doing it to the center of this flower, but I do come back in on this flower and add some more. I'm going to go ahead and do this flower and then do the rest off camera. Again, just using that lightest end of the Tri-Blend marker. Now, Tri-Blend markers are meant for all the shading in one marker, really, really convenient. So if you want to get into coloring, then I suggest trying a Tri-Blend marker. I'll leave a link down below. So I decided to then bring in my blender marker and then just go over all the edges of the flowers. And then I'm adding linen ink with a blending brush over the center of those flowers. Cleanup is easy with my glass board and a damp paper towel. And now I'm going to prepare my base page just using Reinker this time. I usually use either a black shimmer brush or something like that, but I really wanted the ink to be intense. So I just squirted some Reinker and splattered it on there. Again, I am turning over my Versamat to use it as my stamping surface, and I only want to stamp in a 3-inch border along the top. So I'm using just some washi tape on my glass board to mark that off. And then I'm taking that same stamp set and starting with the larger images, and I'm going to random stamp these. So the thing about random stamping is you always want to start with your larger image, and then you want to be able to fill all the little tiny spaces with your smaller images. So the next larger image is this floral piece. And again, I'm just randomly picking places, except, random stamping isn't so random. You can see here that there are triangles, visual triangles that you have to keep. And I did add a piece of my labeling tape just to kind of make sure that my stamping did not go below that 3-inch mark. Here is a small stamp image, a little floral piece that I'm bringing in. And then I will bring in this tiny little solid black heart to fill in the rest of the spaces. And I love in the end how all of these elements come together, especially with that black and white splatter that I did on my base page, to make this stamped image or the stamped bar across the top just really come to life for this photo of my mom and my siblings and I. I'm going to remove the washi tape from my glass board, and then we can bring out the strips of paper that I'm going to use. Again, these strips of paper are actually from the Fabulous paper collection, which is heavily Halloween themed, but I just love this polka dot pattern. And these are actually from another layout that I made, a non-Halloween layout, and I had these scraps, these torn scraps, so I decided to use those. So for this photo, I was thinking about centering it, but then I was like, I don't want it to be off center. So I'm just going to put it to the left and then start taking those stamped images that I die cut out and place around the photo. So I want a combination of the white and black non-colored and then the solid black. And I definitely want some black leaves up at the top against that random stamped piece. So I'm going to finish placing these, and then I'm actually taking the actual stamp set. And some of these, there's no need for them to be the die cut pieces. So I'll save those for later and then add the stamped images directly to my layout base. For this cluster, I want it to stay intact because I don't have to rethink it. So I'm taking press and seal wax paper and then just pressing it over those little groupings, and then everything stays intact and you can peel it off. And then I'm going to add some actual stamped leaves to this base, and that again, that way I don't have to use the die cut pieces. I can save those for later. So this makes it handy. The press and seal allows me to bring that entire grouping of florals back onto my layout and just move it when I'm ready to stamp those leaves down on my project. As far as adhering it down, you just turn it upside down, add liquid adhesive to the pieces that you do want directly onto your layout, which I've done. And then when I peel back the press and seal, only the pieces that have adhesive on them will be stuck. And then that way I can add 3D foam tape underneath those larger flowers. I am using thin 3D foam tape. I don't want a whole lot of dimension on these florals because I am going to come back in the end and add some enamel dots to the center. So for this last little grouping on the right, I'm adding that dark flower up at the top right, overlapping that corner of my photo. There's just a whole lot of blank space in that photo. And then I'm going to do the same with that left side grouping of florals. Now I will kind of have to play around with some of these because I added adhesive and I really don't want the adhesive on there. I'm going to add 3D foam tape instead. So here in just a second, I will realize that and just tuck some 3D foam tape underneath there. Just going to get these adhered down and then make sure that all my pieces are adhered by just kind of pulling up on them on the ends to make sure I didn't miss any. As far as my title goes, I'm going to turn my layout on its side and then use my T-ruler to just pencil in some very light lines, and then I am going to stamp my title. As far as the stamp set, this is called the Havana stamp set. It's brand new and I really love it. It's kind of fun and funky. It's even got some highlights to the images, and I am just stamping out Mother's Day. Again, just really lining it up on that pencil mark, and then also making sure I'm using a larger block. That way I can tell where I'm stamping. So you want to make sure that you don't have any ink on your block, because if you guys are followers or subscribers of mine, you know that this is usually where I mess things up. I could not find an @ symbol, so I just decided to take a marker and add that in between day and RLV. Here are some still shots of the finished layout. Again, love that random stamped border. And then I also added some enamel dots to the centers of those flowers. And then remember, I'll leave everything linked down below. If you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications. And please like, comment, and share. And don't forget to check out the playlist. I'll leave it linked down below for the Scraptember videos. This is where you will find every video, every prompt for all of September.